Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. Today, my guest is Andrea Barnes. How are you doing, Andrea?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for joining us today. I would love to start off the conversation with just a little bit more information about yourself. Can you tell us who you are, what your position is, and who you work for?
Sure. So my name is Andrea Barnes. I am the Technical Communications Manager for Big Metal Additive.
Awesome. And can you go over some of the things that Big Metal Additive does, like what kind of company it is, what processes they use, and maybe go into some of the current projects that you're working on?
Okay, so Big Metal Additive is a manufacturer of parts for customers. We primarily work with customers in the space, aerospace, defense, construction, energy, automotive industries. We use a metal hybrid additive manufacturing to produce these parts for customers. And it's essentially 3D printing. And aside from the common benefits of 3D printing, like shortened lead times, design flexibility and customization and cost, our main differentiators are the fact that we have a very large work table. We can make very large parts. Our work tables are 6 foot by 12 foot. And also the fact that our process is hybrid. And what that means is that we combine additive manufacturing alongside subtractive manufacturing to produce a part.
So you can basically 3D print a large part, and then if it needs something like CNC machining or some sort of polishing or finishing type process after that to make it smoother, is that what you mean by that?
Yes, and we use them in concert together. So the one machine has additive, where it's depositing material, but then it's also using subtractive to not only control dimensions and improve quality, but also create finished machine surfaces like you mentioned.
That's amazing. So how did you end up working with Big Metal Additive? What is your background into engineering and manufacturing? And was this like a sector that you've always been interested in? Or because additive manufacturing is a fairly young process still. I remember back in 2008 when I started writing about it, it was the desktop printers that were really expensive at the time. And now we've, advanced into larger platforms such as what Big Metal Additive is using. So how did you enter into the additive sector?
Well, I first got into manufacturing in a different way. I got my first job out of college with an investment casting foundry, and they produced aerospace and defense customer parts. So I got a taste for what manufacturing was like in that environment. I really liked the dynamic of working on the technical engineering skills at my computer, but then walking over to the shop floor and seeing the results firsthand. And I liked the fact that every problem I encountered was multifaceted. It required technical skills, it required people skills, and creativity. So I spent several years in a more traditional manufacturing positions. And then through the powers of LinkedIn is how I got connected to Big Metal Additive. We had mutual connections between the owner of BMA as well as the GM, and I saw that they were hiring for a position, and one thing led to another, and I ended up interviewing for that position, and I accepted as the technical communications manager. So while I did not have previous additive experience, the fact that I've been in manufacturing and that I have a technical degree has helped me do well in my position here.
So technical communications manager is not something that might be well known outside of the manufacturing or engineering space. And one of the main goals of Mavens of Manufacturing is to try to recruit younger generations to the sector and maybe get them excited about the different opportunities that they might not know exist within manufacturing and engineering. So how would you describe what a technical communications manager is and some of your major responsibilities or roles at Big Metal Additive?
Sure. So first of all, Big Metal is a startup. So we all wear a lot of hats. but I primarily focus on business capture. I
Okay.
work on the proposal and quoting side, making sure that we get those coordinated and sent out. I am the one that facilitates customer conversations and customer relationships. And I also work to make sure that all of our contract deliverables are completed on time, as well as they meet or exceed expectations. That's a big portion of my work, but I also do all of the marketing work here as well. So I do a lot of effort in taking the very, very technical jargon and disseminating into something that's more digestible for the general population. And in fact, we just did a complete redesign on our website, which is really exciting.
I was actually taking a look at that before our conversation, and yesterday I took a look at it too and saw your video that's on the website. So anyone who's tuning in right now, make sure you visit their website. I'll actually flash the URL below. The video is fantastic. It made me extremely excited and just appreciate additive so much more, and especially how you're offering that hybrid option for your customers. I think it's really, really cool. And that's leading me to my next question about your Defense Innovation Award that you won back in 2019. Can you, explain what that award is and what it took for Big Metal Additive to kind of be nominated for that and even win it?
So the Defense Innovation Award in 2019 was prior to my time with the company, but it's something that the DoD awards to up-and-coming companies that have innovative technologies. So the fact that our technology has two specific offerings that are unique is what helped us win that award. And specifically, it's that large-scale aspect. So we can make parts ranging from, say, a microwave to a sports car chassis. So that's unique, as well as the fact that we do the hybrid. So the additive and subtractive combination is another unique offering in the industry.
One of the things that we talked about in our pre-briefing was a recent project that you were working on, and I believe it was like some sort of submarine drone or can you get more into that and explain what that was for, and if it's, usable right now, if it's in use, like what was that project like?
So we're currently in the second phase of that project. It's an SBIR with the Office of Naval Research, and we are producing unmanned underwater vehicles, and similar to a submarine, but small enough that people do not board it. And so when we finished the first phase, we produced an 8-foot long, 21-inch diameter UUV that we swam in a test basin. And so now in the second phase, we are working on creating the next level of that product. And the ultimate goal is to test it in the ocean in 2022. And so go ahead.
Is it doing like some sort of research? Like what would be the end use actually for this type of application? Or is that an NDA that we can't talk about?
Yes, it's very open-ended, and like you said, it's usually protected information, but it could be just capturing the seafloor, or it could be scanning for things nearby. There's a lot of different uses for it. Our focus is actually just the hull of the UUV, so we don't have the electronics or the equipment that goes inside of it. We just produce the outside of it.
Okay. So in comparison to traditional process or other processes that, companies might have used to produce that hull, what are some of the advantages or benefits that your process is giving them by producing it through additive manufacturing rather than, some other process that might have been the traditional way to create the hull?
Sure. So traditionally, you would create these using a giant chunk of metal that you would machine out into the shape of the hole that you need. And generally speaking, right now, to get material of that size, it could be a lead time of a year. And so that's not even including the time to machine it into the shape that the customer wants. So a big advantage for us that we provide is that shortened lead time. We are able to essentially press print as soon as we have a model that's been prepared for the manufacturing process. So we don't have those huge lead times waiting for materials to show up or anything like that. So we can produce them in a matter of weeks as opposed to over a year. Also, we have the ability to be reconfigurable. A lot of traditional manufacturing methods require a lot of tooling, a lot of fixturing, a lot of setup that really sticks the customer and makes them stuck. It sticks them to one design. They can't change the design once they order the product. With our process, they can make every single one different. All it is just work on the computer and translating it into the machine and being able to press print.
So with your technique that you have, especially with the hybrid component of it, what are some of your limitations then in terms of production and terms of size and maybe tolerances?
Right now, in terms of production limits, we're limited only by the number of machines we have.
Okay.
But it would be pretty simple to get another machine, and it would be pretty simple to get another machine of a different size. The way that the machines are built, they are scalable in that way. As far as other limitations to the process, it's really a good way to make really big structures, but it's not a good way to make very finite features.
Okay.
There are other processes that can make those little tiny features a lot better than ours. And so that's technically a limitation. And I think that is really the most important one. We can do a lot of things with that hybrid aspect that the traditional additive can't, because we can get into places where others can't. We can create overhangs that others can't. We can create larger structures that others can't.
So throughout your journey with Big Metal Additive, are there other women that are part of your company, or is there some sort of initiative to pull in other women? Because I've, throughout my conversations that I've had here on Mavens of Manufacturing, we're still representing, that 28 to 30% of women in manufacturing and engineering. And I just had a conversation with a lady at FabTech, and she's in the CAD software industry. And she said, she's like, to every 5 or 10 men, there's 1 or 2 women. And, I started thinking back, I don't really know any female CAD designers or software designers. And thinking back with additive manufacturing, most of the women that I know are either in marketing or some sort of PR position. And you seem to have a really diverse background to handle that technical information. So are there any other women on your team that help with the technical side of things? And if not, are you trying to get more women involved with Big Metal Additive?
So there are three women total in our company out of the 10 of us. There's going to be 11 next week.
Awesome.
But I'm the only one in a more technical capacity at this point in time. That being said, though, we have many customers where our technical point of contact is a woman, and it's really exciting to see. There's oftentimes that we're in technical meetings where at least half of us are women in the room, which is not what I'm used to. Back 13 years ago when I started in manufacturing, I was usually one of the only women in the room. But now to see that I'm involved in meetings routinely where half of us are women is really, really exciting.
So as a company in today's time, you're a smaller company compared to some of the other bigger manufacturers with only 11, soon to be 11 on your team. So how hard is it for you to fill a position when it becomes available and your capacity for production increases? How difficult of a time do you have trying to find, the right talent to come in to your company and, add to your workforce?
Sure. We do have a little bit of difficulty in the fact that we are the only ones that have the technology that we have. So it's hard to find somebody with relevant experience, direct relevant experience. But that being said, we've been really lucky to find some really great talent. We have access to a lot of great universities in the state of Colorado that have provided a lot of that next generation talent. Specifically, on our team, we have almost half of us have a degree from the Colorado School of Mines, which is really cool. But also Colorado and Denver in general has a really big manufacturing community, and that brings talent to the area as well. And so I think those two things combined have really made us lucky in being able to find new talent.
Is Big Metal Additive taking any initiative in trying to recruit younger generations, not just to additive manufacturing, but manufacturing and engineering as a whole? And if so, what are some of those initiatives? Because we all are aware of the skills gap, and it's really setting up some industries within the sector to think about automation and interoperability. So, what are some of the things that Big Metal Additive is doing to get kids excited about, hey, this is part of manufacturing and engineering, and those skills that you learned in some of your tech ed classes can be applied here?
The answer to that is more of a pre-COVID answer. But we used to have student guests of all ages, either for tours or we go to their school for presentations and showcase the kind of work that we do. It usually gets kids really excited to see something so new and interesting that it gets them excited about manufacturing. But we also just try to have that conversation around what it's like to work in manufacturing and what kind of things you can do and how they might enjoy that. We also have an internship program. And so we do bring in college students to get experience here. They do everything from sweeping the shop floor to doing intensive CAD design. So it's really great to get them in the door, because I even think at that point students don't quite understand what exactly manufacturing is and what the possibilities are.
Yeah, I went to a high school recently to talk to the students and the teachers about engineering and manufacturing, and they brought me through their tech ed program. And it was really interesting to see the different types of processes and just machinery and materials that they were using to teach these kids soft skills. Like the welding classes were, the real basic levels of welding. They did have CNC machines there, which I thought was amazing because I wouldn't even have known what that was when I was in high school. And
Right.
then they also took me through their construction class where they were learning how to wire a house. And when I asked the kids, I was like, hey, what do you think this is going to prepare you for when you graduate from high school? And they're like, I don't know, if I ever build a house, I'll know how to, set it up for electrical. And I'm like, there's so much more you could do with the skill that you don't even know. So I started talking to them about, CNC machining and robotics and, things that need to be done for like drones or, anything really. And I was like, your phone has wires in it, you're like, there's so much more to this than what you realize. And they're really excited about this tour that I'm going to be doing soon. So it's interesting to see how much, I don't want to say they take it for granted. I just think they're unaware of how much they have in their hands is all in manufacturing some shape or form. And I just think bringing in like 3D printed machine or like 3D printers into the classroom would be really beneficial for them too, because it's such a cool process and it's used for so many things, whether it's prototyping or even producing that final product that you can actually use. It's just really cool how it has developed over the years. So I wanted to ask you, What is one of your favorite things working for a company like Big Metal Additive? Like, what do you absolutely love about the company, and what is exciting you? Um, it could be an upcoming project. It could be something, that you're doing now. Like, what's one of the things that you love about Big Metal Additive and working there?
I first of all love the culture. We all work really hard, but we also take time to have a laugh and enjoy the process of working hard. And I really appreciate that aspect of the company. But also, I really get excited by how many new and exciting projects we are always taking on. It's almost always something different and something that nobody else has ever done. And we're all figuring it out and learning as we go and innovating. And it's really exciting to be a part of that.
So, for any person looking to get into additive manufacturing, specifically, a woman, because there's a lot of misconceptions that women have about the sector. One being, you can't be a mom and be in manufacturing because there's no flexibility offered, or there's really no opportunity to grow and move up the ladder. What is some advice that you would give to that next generation of women who are considering maybe entering into the field of engineering or manufacturing?
I would say that try not to make assumptions. So the assumption that being a mom, for example, and working in manufacturing, I struggled through that a little bit, but it was because I was assuming that it wouldn't be a right fit for me. And exploring the options that are around you and really understanding what actually is possible is worth the effort. I think that we just get a thought in our heads and we decide to stop and we don't try. And I think that there's so much available to us as women in manufacturing that if we just get curious and ask questions, and you'll find a really good fit.
I agree with you. I think another thing is too, because it is still kind of a male dominated industry, it's changing, and I feel like just because you don't necessarily see someone that looks like you right away, that doesn't mean there isn't someone that looks like you. So just keep pursuing it and get involved with it, because it's interesting to see how different areas of the United States focus on certain types of manufacturing or certain types of products and services. So there's so much out there and just so many advancements happening. And it's not that dirty, dingy, dark place anymore. It's actually a really high tech environment that's a lot cleaner and crisper and just more advanced technology wise. So I feel like the things that you're doing at Big Metal Additive are just really exciting, because with additive manufacturing, when it first started, it was just, printing one type of filament, and then it got into metal, and now it's getting into this hybrid stuff. So I'm really excited to see where it's going to go after that and how big we can actually get with the parts, because 6 foot is incredible. I'm looking at your website right now and I see the giant platform and it's just incredible. So if anyone wants to learn more about Big Metal Additive or how they can work with you or collaborate with you, where should they go?
They can go to our Big Metal Additive website, bigmetaladditive.com, or we are very active on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me as myself, or you can reach out to our company page.
And before I let you go, Andrea, is there anything else that you want to talk about or, say to anyone that's watching?
No, I think we had a really great conversation and we covered it all.
Great. Well, thanks, Andrea, for participating on Mavens of Manufacturing. Feel free to reach out to Andrea if you have questions about Big Metal Additive. Again, take a look at their website. It's pretty amazing, and some of the projects that they're doing are just incredible with the size that they're printing these parts out. So congratulations on that. And thank you again for joining another Mavens of Manufacturing episode. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye. episode of Mavens of Manufacturing has been sponsored by Thinker. Thinker helps solve meaningful, measurable problems for organizations that change the world. Grow your business, reduce your risk at thinkerventures.com. That's thinkerventures.com.